Shalom, shalom, Sister Hannah. Shalom, sis, you and the fam. Brother Yaakov, shalom. How y'all doing up there? Shalom, Brother Don Israel. How you doing, Doc? Shalom. Rockathon, man. Shalom, shalom, soldier. Your call in the building. Shalom, man. Her brothers and sisters been having a good time. Shalom, shalom, Brother Azariah in the building. Shalom to you and the fam, man. Shalom. Brothers and sisters, man. I hope brothers and sisters had a great Sabbath yesterday. Captain Yard did a great class yesterday. Just kind of feed off of that same spirit. Hope brothers and sisters been watching what's going on in the news. Measuring the times. Thanks, Brother Don Israel. I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for asking. Hope brothers and sisters been measuring the times. We say measuring the times and also measuring your spirit with the times. To make sure that brothers and sisters are staying in the spirit, doing what you need to do to make your election sure, according to the scriptures. Give diligence, whatever you need to do, reading, fasting, praying, applying. Shalom, shalom, fallen king, shalom. Shalom to brothers and sisters. Waiting on a few brothers and sisters come in. Y'all already know how we do it. Q&A. Any questions? I was trying to think of a title I had. Got to start making mental notes because I had one earlier this week. But I know a lot of times many different topics come up. We just kind of go by the spirit and what we see out there in the earth and what we see going on in our nation. That needs to be addressed. I know a lot of times brothers and sisters steady been seeing a controversy with Gorilla Hebrew. We just have to throw out the prayers for the brother, man. Pray that the Most High God, pull that spirit that he have off of him right now, and pray that the brother, come back stronger, man. Because right now, I need them prayers, man. I'm just gonna be honest. So I know a lot of times we speak on these things, making sure that brothers and sisters are gathering amongst one another, making sure that whoever you are with, whatever camp, that you continue in that doctrine without any confusion. And if not, brothers don't feel that way. Brothers, start your own camp if you built up enough. But brothers and sisters must gather as a nation of people, man. We must gather. Let me get there right quick. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 49 and verse 1. Yeah, for real. Like Soldier your call say, you trying to be on no jumping. And a lot of times brothers have to watch their spirit. Because we know when we come into this truth, the Most High God gets us fame to a certain extent. But a lot of times that fame can puff brothers up to now that they want to be more celebrities than they want to be teachers of the words of the Most High and trying to build up our nation. And you kind of see that spirit on Gorilla Hebrew. He done took the promotion that the Most High God had gave him, and he's kind of using it for the wrong reasons. I understood the angle he was trying to reach, like with the young hip hop YN, so to speak. But we can see how it kind of done backfired. You know what I'm saying? Shalom, Soldier E Hood. Shalom, Sister Danielle. How you doing, sis? So, we can kind of see those particular things, man. We just throw up the prayers. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 49 and verse 1, and it reads, and Jacob called up to his sons and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell you what shall befall you in the last days. So we constantly need to gather together as a nation of people, even like Brother Don Israel put in the chat. The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 44, verse 9, two are better than one. Because when we see certain spirits that be on brothers and sisters, we're able to tell them those things, and hopefully they'll be able to self-check themselves, But how can a brother tell you that if you're not gathering amongst your people? Shalom, shalom. What is that? Celis 372, shalom, shalom. So this is a heavy thing in Israel that must be dealt with. Con says everything all good, sis. Thanks for asking, sis. So we want to make sure that brothers and sisters are checking y'all spirits in these last days, because time is getting short, man. It really is, man. Let's go to one of the classics, 2nd Ezra chapter 9. This is the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 1. And he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then thou shalt understand that it is this very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. So we have to measure these times. We have to measure the times with the things that we see going on in the news. We seeing with Russia, Putin, they trying to get a meeting together to be able to stop the war with Russia and Ukraine. We seeing the sea, Most High God turning that thing into blood. We seeing these plagues being brought upon the earth in these last days, and we measuring these things by the times, man. And this the spirit, man, because the Most High God said he was going to smite Egypt before as with the same plagues, but on a much more spiritual level. Let's flip over a couple chapters. Let's go to the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15 and verse number 11. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15, verse 11, and it reads, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. So when it says as before, meaning what? It's not talking about ancient Egypt. It's talking about this modern day spiritual Egypt. And we know that America is spiritual Egypt according to what? Brother should know this, sister should know this, according to Revelation chapter 11 and verse 8. Let's get that real quick. This is the book of Revelation chapter 11 and verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. So we see that, guess what? This place is spiritual Egypt. That's why we seeing Most High God turn that place into blood, that sea into blood. We seeing these plagues come upon the earth, rumors of wars. We having fires now over there on the West Coast again. We've been having floods. It's a lot been going on in these last days, brothers and sisters. And if you're not prone to what's going on, then guess what? You're not going to make it. We're just going to be honest. You're not going to make it. You're not measuring the times. You're not lining up with your spirit on how you need to self-correct yourself on certain things that you know that you deal with. You're not reaching out for counseling. You're not gathering amongst your people. And a lot of times these are to brothers and sisters destruction, man. It's no way around it. Absolutely no way around that thing, man. Shalom, shalom, the man, shalom. So we want to make sure, and the Most High God is giving us examples on things that we should do, and he's giving us examples on things that we shouldn't do. You know what I'm saying? When you have leaders out here that's over the nation, not walking in the spirit, that's out of order. It's our job to bid people to the marriage, and brothers are not letting their light shine, and it's a judgment for that, because brothers that are in leadership positions, Most High God, we're held to a higher standard. We're held to a higher standard. If brothers and sisters that don't know, That's why the Most High God said judgment is going to start at the house of Israel first. What is that? That First Peter chapter 4, verse 17. Let's get that right quick. I said I had a great camp yesterday. We try to deal with anything that popped up spiritually that we see that we need to address as a nation of people. One of the main things that was out there at camp was brothers wanting to be deep. You always had that deep brother, that see a group of brothers that's out there doing something positive and they want to kind of reign or stomp all over the Most High God's parade like they wiser than Daniel. You know what I'm saying? So you call, put that Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 25 up in that thing. This is the book of First Peter, chapter 4, verse 17, and it reads, "For the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of God. And if it first begin at us, what shall be the end of them that obey not the gospel of God?" So remember, judgment always starts with the house of Israel, but we using this point to address the leaders in Israel. That's going to start with us, so-called leaders over different congregations. Most High God is saying that, guess what? By you wanting to strive for masteries and guess what? Be over congregations, which is a good thing, to do the work of the Lord. But you want to make sure, damn sure, that you're prepared for that work and the things that come with it. This is something that's not to be taken lightly. A 24/7 job, 360, so it's not a day that you can take off, counsel, correction, even always self-checking yourself, making sure that yourself is in order as well as your household, because you are that example to follow. You are that light. Sister Danielle said, "Cap, we have IUIC here, but it's hard to get in the school. I'm at a standstill with finding a camp. I'm going to keep trying." Yeah, so even within that, like we told you before, sis, sis, and like we say, this is a way of gathering, sis. When you in on the class, that's you gathering, because we don't have a battle axis in this particular area. This is you gathering, sis. So we use technology to the best of our ability. Remember, we always talking about those brothers and sisters that have camps in their area that they vibe with, and they still not gathering together. That's who that's really addressed to. It's not addressed to a brother or sister that wants to be with a camp that doesn't have a camp set up in their area. So when y'all on the live, when y'all watching class, when y'all in tune with the videos, that is a form of congregation. That is a form. Shalom, Black King Transportation. Shalom. Says, "Good evening, sir. I was talking to this young lady. She want to like a man and a woman. Oh, she bisexual? Yeah, that's going off. Shalom, brother Yaakov. How you doing out? Yeah, that's going off according to the scriptures. Because that's confusion. That's all that it is. Let's get the class. Let's go to the book of Leviticus. Chapter 20 and verse 13. That is confusion. It's the book of Leviticus, chapter 20 and verse 13, and it reads, "If a man also lie with mankind as he lied with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them." So the Most High God said that's anti being fruitful. So a lot of times I like to ask brothers and sisters, are you for the betterment of your nation of people? A lot of times people say that they have black pride. It's like, how can we have black pride and you okay with homosexuality? That's anti being fruitful, anti-reproduction. That makes no sense, because if we're not reproducing as a nation of people, how can we have a strong nation? That makes absolutely no sense. So yeah, you have to tell her, so she got to come up out of that. I always try to invite her to the class, and like we said, that's why we had these Q&As to answer any question that brothers and sisters may have about the Bible, because that's all that you see on TikTok, on social media. People don't understand the scriptures, man. And all these religions have truly jacked our people up, man. They really have, man. That's right. So Jakal put the great precept in our first Corinthians chapter 14, verse 33. I can spirit. God is not the author of confusion. And that's plain. Brother Jacob said, Cap, can I get a breakdown on Isaiah chapter 3, verse 6? Let's go to it right quick. Isaiah chapter 3, verse 6 is a great chapter going into how people were going into certain spirits and so on and so forth. Even when you read on to Isaiah chapter 3, verses 16, how he goes into the daughters of Zion. But we're going to start at verse 6. And this is going into southern tribe, Judah's wicked rulers. I'm going to start up at verse 1. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 3 and verse 1, and it reads, For behold, the Lord of hosts, doth take away from Jerusalem and from Judah the stay and the staff, the whole stay of bread and the whole stay of water. So meaning the Most High God was going to take the understanding from us. He was going to take his protection from us because of the wicked rulers of our people. That bread is going into what? The understanding, the bread of adversity. We know that water is going into what? Being watered with the word. I'm going to read it again from the top. For behold, the Lord of hosts, doth take away from Jerusalem and from Judah the stay of the staff. What does that staff do? That correction, to guide us in order. We need that as a nation of people, and that's what the job of the leaders is, to be a staff and a stay to keep us in order with the words of the Most High. It says, the whole stay of bread and the whole stay of water. What does bread and water do? It nourishes you. You know, it fills you up. Most High God was going to do that on a spiritual level. That's going into the word, going into understanding. Because when we have these things, that's what keeps us nourished in this truth. You know, that's what keep us. I'm going to jump down. Verse 6. I'm going to keep reading. I'll just start at verse 6, since we understand what the chapter is going into. Verse 6. When a man shall take hold of his brother, of the house of his father, saying, Thou hast clothing, be thou our ruler, and let this ruin be under thy hand. I'm going to read that again. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 3 and verse 6. When a man shall take hold of his brother, of the house of his father, saying, Thou hast clothing, be thou our ruler. So a lot of times, our people love to pick our rulers because not in a sense, we always wanted to be like the other nations. When guess what? We have a ruler, and we need to lean on the Most High God to pick our rulers. That's how we pick these things. You know, we started to go off even in today's time. You know, our people, for the most part, are picking Donald Trump, knowing damn well that this man means us no good. You know, no good at all. It says, saying, Thou hast clothing, be thou our ruler, and let this ruin be under thy hand. Because a lot of times when we picked our rulers, guess what? It was a bad mistake. It was a bad mistake. Let me get this precept right quick. So like it, brothers. So let's go to the book of 1 Samuel chapter 8. First Samuel chapter 8. When I want to start, get straight to the point. Yes, I'm gonna get straight to the point. This is the book of First Samuel, chapter 8 and verse number 5. This is going into when Israel wanted a king. We demanded a king. Why? To be like the other nations. This is the book of First Samuel, chapter 8 and verse 5. And said unto him, Behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. Remember, we always wanted to be like the other nations. Always. That's something that was always, the Most High God had to always get on us. Verse 6. But the thing displeased Samuel when they said, Give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto the Lord. And the Lord said unto Samuel, Hearken unto the voice of the people in all that they say unto thee, for they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. And this is something heavy, man, because we have a king. You know, we have the Most High and his son Yahushua. Who can be more better counsel than the Most High? You know, and this is something that we always have to check in our spirit. Shalom, shalom, brother Moses in the building. Better ask is West Coast, shalom. So like if I'm butchering your name, High Tech Israel, shalom, shalom, family. So we see these things. We always wanted to be like the other nations. And like I said, they not rejecting you. They really rejecting me, because the Most High God knows our thoughts. He knows these things, man. Let's go back to the book of Isaiah. Like you said, no, brother, Soldier Jakal put it up in the chat. Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 15. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter. I'm going to start up at verse 5. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 3 and verse 5, and it reads, And the people shall be oppressed, every one by another, and every one by his neighbor. The child shall behave himself proudly against the ancient, and the base against the honorable. So we see where that spirit got on brothers and sisters to be out of orders with the leaders and with the honorable and with the age. Things are just out of order because of the leadership being out of order. Verse 6, when a man shall take hold of his brother of the house of his father, saying, Thou hast clothing, be thou our ruler, and let this ruin be under thy hand. In that day shall he swear, saying, I will not be an healer, for in my house is neither bread nor clothing. Make me not a ruler over this people. So you will have those things to where later on down the line, that guess what? A lot of times, brothers that were chosen for this work did not want to do this work. You know, remember, these things go in and out of time. Verse 6 is coupled with verse number 5 on how people was being the wicked rulers of that time and how people always chose wicked rulers. But then the Most High God was going to flip the script to where he's going to start to raise up brothers that didn't want to be leaders. A lot of times you have to kind of watch those spirits, because a lot of times those are the humble brothers. You know, a lot of times they really don't want to do that job. Those sometimes at times, not all the times, those at times can be those humble brothers that really should take that job, you know. So that's what that's going into. That's a good question. Good precept. Precept for Isaiah chapter 3, verse 5 is going into Leviticus chapter 25, verse 17. I'm going to read on. Verse 8. For Jerusalem is ruined, and Judah is fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against the Lord, to provoke the eyes of his glory. So we see this, you know, during this time, you know, our people was going off. Like we say, the leaders was going off, you know, and the Most High God was judging them at the time. Like we say, the Judah's wicked rulers. Make sure y'all put that down there. Yeah, Father King says, 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 3, a beautiful lesson. It is. It's always a great lesson. Like we say, knowing the spiritual order, the divine order that the Most High God has set up, going into God, man, God, Christ, man, woman, church. A lot of times marriages don't work because brothers and sisters don't know what their roles is according to the Bible, not according to the world. You know, we seeing divorce rates at a high level, sisters leaving their husbands at a high rate. I think the percentage of women always divorcing husbands before the husband divorced them is at like 70%. You know, we know a lot of times sisters do that because of emotions, you know, because they not happy. You know, you still have an obligation because think about it, in a marriage, you know, you have to make that happiness. You know, everything ain't gonna be hunky dory every single day. That's just unrealistic to have that. Like you supposed to be happy every day. No, come on, it's not the way. Shalom, brother Shalom, Shalom. Brother Yaakov said, I got 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 6 for that. Isaiah chapter 3, verse 8. Let's see what that 1 Peter 2 and 6 is going into. Read it right quick. This is the book of 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse number 6. And it reads, Wherefore also it is contained in the scripture, Behold, I lay in Zion a chief cornerstone, elect, precious, and he that believeth on him shall not be confounded. Salakia, 2 Peter. Salakia. This is the book of 2 Peter chapter 2 and verse 6. And turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow, making them an example unto those that after should live ungodly. So that precepts with verse 9. That precepts with verse 9, Isaiah. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 3 and verse 9, and it reads, The show of their countenance doth witness against them, and they declare their sin as Sodom. They hide it not. Woe unto their souls, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. Yeah, so I know a lot of times, what was the point that you was trying to link up with verses 8 with 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 6? Because in 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 6, this is the Most High God destroying Sodom and Gomorrah and using them as an example. So this is what we precepted with verse 9, showing the judgments for brothers and sisters that want to live this particular lifestyle. We know what they was doing in Sodom and Gomorrah, going into homosexuality, and they were also going into not being hospitable to people. You know. Shalom, Officer Barakaya in the building. You understand that, brother? Shalom, Sister Adiva, House of Ehud. Shalom, and you and the fam. Brother Moses asked, Cap, is John chapter 12, verse 19 a good world precept to couple with John 3:16? Let's get that right quick. Let's go to the book of John. You understand that, Brother Yaakov? Give me some feedback. So, yeah, that's mainly one that we will put with 3 and 8. Would you say other precepts for the world? This is the book of John, chapter 12 and verse 19. This is going into when Christ enters Jerusalem. The book of John, chapter 12 and verse 19, and it reads, The Pharisees therefore said among themselves, Perceive ye how ye prevail nothing? Behold, the world is gone after him. And that is a great precept for that. Literally showing how Israel went after Christ. You know, because what? This time we was trying to make him king. Let me jump up. This is the book of John, chapter 12 and verse 12, and it reads, "On the next day, much people that were come to the feast, when they heard that Yahushua was coming to Jerusalem, took branches of palm trees and went forth to meet him and cried, Hosanna! Blessed is the King of Israel that cometh in the name of the Lord. And Yahushua, when he had found a young ass, sat thereon as it is written." So we know that this is going into what? How Christ came into her on the foal of an ass, fulfilling that prophecy that was in what? In the book of Genesis chapter 49, verses 10 and 11. It says, "Fear not, Salaki, and Yahushua, when he had found a young ass, sat thereon, as it is written. Fear not, daughter of Zion, behold, thy king cometh, sitting on an ass's coat." So the point that we want in there, daughter of Zion, showing you the audience who he was talking about. So we know Zion is another name for Israel, further giving more implications on who this audience was that was dealing with him. Let's get that prophecy so brothers and sisters can know that. But yes, that is the precept. That's a great precept with there, Brother Moses. Let's get that Christ riding in on the ass, on the foal of an ass. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 49 and verse number 10. And it reads, "The scepter shall not depart from Judah," paying homage to Christ as being the king. A scepter is an instrument that a king hold. It says, "Nor a lawgiver from between his feet," meaning Judah was the lawgiver. It says, "Unto Shiloh come." Shiloh is another title for Christ, meaning peaceable one. "And unto him shall the gathering of the people be." Verse 11, "Binding his foal unto the vine." Israel is that vine. "And his ass his coat unto the choice vine," showing how Christ came in riding on the ass of a donkey when he entered into Jerusalem. Make sure y'all put that precept there next to John chapter 12 and verse 14, because that's what it means as it is written. It was written where? In the book of Genesis. But yes, that's a great, great world precept. Great world precept. Yeah, come. I already know. That's why we tell Bruce to be careful. I know he probably meant 9. And because sometimes brothers, when we're writing down the precepts, you can kind of write them in the wrong section. On that. So I kind of figured that. But I would say that's why we always got an upper hand, even what Captain Yar was going into yesterday, being able to link up the precepts and link up the prophecies to show who these people are in the last days, showing if prophecies have been fulfilled or have not been fulfilled. So this is a prophecy that had been fulfilled. Brothers just got to know how to link these things up. You also can go to what Zechariah chapter 9, verse 9. Let's go there too. It's in the same thing. Precept must be upon precept. Must be upon precept. If you don't, a lot of times the deeper understandings will be lost to you. And that's a lot of times why you see brothers on these podcasts, YouTube, TikToks. You know, a lot of times they don't know what they're talking about, man. I'm going to be honest, man. You have the Christian mindset on there. And I ain't going to lie, them Israelites, boy, Bruce be in there, man, contending for the faith, man. All praise to that thing, man. Bringing out the right correction. Shalom, Black Karma. Shalom, shalom, family. This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 9 and verse number 9. And it reads, "Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, thy king cometh unto thee. He is just and having salvation, lowly and riding upon an ass, and upon a coat, the foal of an ass." So this is a precept that y'all need also with Genesis 49, verse 11, need Zechariah chapter 9 and verse 9, and you also need what? John chapter 12, verses 5. Also, Matthew chapter 21, verse 5. Many, many precepts showing you that was fulfilled when Christ came into Jerusalem on the foal of an ass. Because a lot of times, guess what? We take notes too. Brothers and sisters think we too good to take notes. No. That's how you're able to remember these things. That's why we get on brews and count 101 if they don't have the precepts. It'd be hard for you to understand what these things are going into. It's very, very hard. Let's get that other one. Let's go to the book of Matthew. What are you doing? This is the book of Matthew, chapter 21 and verse 5. And it reads, Tell ye the daughter of Zion, behold, thy king cometh unto thee, meek and sitting upon an ass, and a coat the foal of an ass. So y'all want to make sure that y'all link up all those precepts, man, because it's literally saying the same thing. Got Genesis 49 and 11. You got Zechariah chapter 9, verse 9. Then you had that John chapter 12 and verse 5. Great precepts. Many precepts. What are some more other world precepts? Let's get another world precept. Remember, that's why we kind of teach brews, especially in Count 101, the subject matter, the topics, they constantly change, especially when we out there at camp. We try to put brothers up on these things to be able to keep up. You know, the dietary law is done away with. Oh, God's laws is done away with. Oh, Christ came to fulfill the law. Topics constantly change. So brothers and sisters want to make sure that y'all are constantly keeping up. I put that already up in the chat. Give me some more world precepts that's not Isaiah 45 and 17. Here's another one. This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 18 and verse 24. And it reads, For in the long garment was the whole world, and in the 4 rows of the stones was the glory of the Father's graven, and thy majesty upon the diadem of his head. Now, what is this going into? This is going into the ephod, going into the attire of the Levitical priests. Remember, you had 4 rows of stone, signifying what? A stone for each of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. It says, for in the long garment was the whole world. Wait a minute. It was only 12 tribes of Israel, showing you that Israel is that whole world, man. This is a great precept right here. Great precept. And y'all want to make sure that y'all put what I want. Where you can find those stones at. So that is a precept for the whole world. Just another one. Rules got to be reminded to be able to bring those things out. Like you say, so you call John chapter 17, verse 9, Luke chapter 2, verse 1. You got Brother Yaakov, Psalms chapter 90 and verse 2. You know, great precepts that brothers are putting up in the chat. Let's go to the book of Exodus, chapter 28. And we'll start at verse 1, because in that long garment, this is where the Most High God instituted the long garments for the Levitical priests. So this is an add-on precept that you can use for Wisdom of Solomon, showing you where this was at, showing you what Solomon was basically quoting. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 28 and verse 1, and it reads, Take thou unto thee Aaron thy brother, and his sons with him, from among the children of Israel, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office, even Aaron, Nadab and Abihu and Eleazar and Ithamar, Aaron's sons. And thou shalt make them holy garments for Aaron thy brother, for glory and for beauty. So the Most High God was giving us these garments, the Levitical priest garments, for glory and beauty. Jump down to verse 10. Start at verse 8. So like I start at verse 4. And these are the garments which thou shalt make: a breastplate, and an ephod, and a robe, and broidered coat, a mitre, and a girdle, that they make them holy garments for Aaron thy brother and his sons, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office. So the Most High God was giving them the specifications of the garment. Even when we pull this thing up now, I hate that we got to get So we see the Levitical priests. You have the long garments. You have the ephod with the 12 stones, the 12 rows. This is what this is going into when we read the book of Wisdom of Solomon. I'm going to read it again. The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 18 and verse 24. For in the long garment was the whole world. Who was that world? Israel. It says, and in the 4 rows of the stones was the glory of the fathers graven. Going into what? Each stone for each tribe. Each tribe have, and this is where they get the concept of birch stones today. This is where they get the concept of these things today. What was Solomon quoting these things from? He's quoting these things from the book of Exodus. It's the book of Exodus, chapter 28 and verse 17. And it reads, and thou shalt set it in settings of stone, even 4 rows of stone. The first row shall be a sardis, a topaz, and a carbuncle. This shall be the first row. So it's going and showing you what was in the first row. And each of these stones signify each of the tribes. Crazy work. Trying to see if I can see it. So we see right here, we have the sardis stone, the topaz, the carbuncle. That's the first row. Then we read on down, verse 18. And the second row shall be an emerald, a sapphire, and a diamond. And the third row a ligure, an agate, an amethyst. And the fourth row a beryl, and an onyx, and a jasper. They shall be set in gold in their enclosings. So those are the stones representing the whole world of Israel, man. Make sure brothers and sisters put those precepts down, man. Make sure you write those things down. Shalom, Jojo. What is it? Rapita, sorry for the mispronunciation. Shalom, shalom, shalom. HGMH says from the outcasts of Israel down in the southern hemisphere of the South Pacific Oceans, or Ogoteria, so-called New Zealand. Khan, all praises. Shalom, Coco Gad. Shalom, Captain and family. I've been trying to understand something. Brothers always say the heathens have their own landmass, but Judah can't go to the land of black and things like that. 10 of the 10. Kind of break that down some more. Okay. 10 of the 12 tribes have their own land masses. Mexicans to Mexico, Cubans to Cuba, Jamaicans to Jamaica, and so forth. How is it that those tribes have somewhat to say they originated? And that's a good question. That's a very good question. Remember, Coco Gad, remember, they technically, yeah, you're right. They got those places, but guess what? They don't control those lands, sis. And I know a lot of times that's one thing that we tend to forget. They don't truly control those lands. You know, from the islands, you have what we call like France. The Spaniards control Mexico, sis. They control Mexico. You always have Esau controlling these lands on a grand scale. That's why those lands in those particular areas are the way that they are now, you know, because of Esau's control over them. So they are not in control of those lands. It's not like how we think. They have no control over these things. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy. So they went there, but they have absolutely no control over those lands. And it's a good question and a good point to bring up. Because remember, we have to go to them in want of all things. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee. So eventually they were sent there. Remember, they went to those islands, like how we read in the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 13. And the Most High God did give the 10 tribes these particular areas. You know, but eventually, because they went off and was breaking the commandments, the Most High God sent Esau over here to do what? Eventually take that land from them. They literally took those land. That's why we have the conquest of 1492 with Christopher killing Columbus. Then we have the invasion of Portugal and Spain. We also have the invasion of France and the islands off the sea. They took those lands from them. It says, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he had destroyed thee. The Lord shall send a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the persons of old, nor show favor to the young. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land. So Esau came over here because we know Esau is the representation of the eagle. You look at all the major Caucasian kingdoms, all their symbol goes back to the eagle. They came over here in the 1400s and took those lands from what we call the so-called 10 tribes, Native Americans, Issacharites. And then whatever they didn't took from Spain and Portugal, guess what? You have France and Great Britain take the rest with Jamaica and the islands of the sea. So yes, you're right in that point. But remember, because they broke God's commandments, you know, Most High God had their land taken from them. It says 12 tribes have their own masses. Mexicans to Mexico, Cubans to Cuba, Jamaicans to Jamaica, and so forth. How is it that those tribes have somewhat to say they originated from Judah and Gad? Don't make sense. Well, that's where you have to kind of go into the history. You have to understand how they split us up as a nation of people. So let me pull up this map. We have what we would call as the map of Negro Island. So a lot of times we make the mistake of thinking that Esau didn't know who we were. They knew exactly who we were because we had certain forts set up in Africa. So this is what you would call the map of Negro land. See if I can see it. So on her, I want the one. It's another one that I'm looking for that literally showed that they had certain forts, like Fort of Benjamin and Fort of Awita. They have it on here, but I want it more plain. So you can kind of see it on here like Ghana. Let me see. I'm trying to find another one for brothers and sisters. Fort of bear with me, brothers and sisters. Trying to pull this up, trying to get an accurate map. Trying to find one. Esau be kind of crafty with these things. Trying to see. Bear with me. Not Kingdom of Benin. It's another map that I'm looking for that has more accurate showing that the tribes had certain forts set up in what they would call today Africa, but in the earlier maps they was called Negro land. I don't know, brothers and sisters. Let me know if y'all can see that. It might be too small. Put a one in the chat if y'all can see that. I don't know if brothers and sisters can. Yeah, and that's a great point that Soldier E. Hood said. It says Benjamin's all the West Indies, not just Jamaica. Shalom, shalom. Laws are not grievous. Shalom. So yeah, they had different areas to where when we ran in 70 AD, when we was fleeing from the Romans in 70 AD, we ran into the interior parts of Africa. We populated that area so heavy that they named that place Negro land. Now, so-called Caucasians, they know that Negroes and Africans are not the same people, but we had such a heavy presence in that particular place that guess what? That's what they started to call that place. And within that place, we had different forts of different tribes set up. Tribe of Benjamin, you had small remnants of Issachar. Because remember, the majority of Issachar were in the Americas, but we always had small remnants amongst the 12 tribes as a whole. So you had Fort of Manasseh, you had forts of Zebulun, You had forts of Levi. So you had these particular areas that were set up in what we would call today as Negro land. So they knew exactly who we were and was taking us to different parts of the area so we could cultivate the land. That's why you have Benjamin on what we know today as Jamaica in the West Indies. We have Manasseh and what we know today as Cuba and so on and so forth. But remember, since that land was taken from them, so it's really no longer their land. Shalom, 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 Sister Genesis. Shalom, sis. Yeah, it look kind of small to me too. Yeah, I'm trying to zoom in. I'm small as hell. So yeah, we do have accounts like that. So I can understand the question, sis, but I know a lot of times or so. Did you have another point with that, sis? Because I know a lot of times the point may be like the 12, like they may not be 12 tribes or what? What was your point in that, sis? Yeah, yeah, that mug is blurry. It ain't you. I want to make sure that y'all, because I could barely see that mug. So I know y'all probably couldn't see it. Yeah, if you can, Coco Gad. Because I know sometimes when we kind of hear that, I know people think that they kind of go either one or two ways that all Israel is just so-called Negroes or Afro Issacharites to that case, you know. Yeah, it didn't. Shalom, sister says, Shalom, family. Just wondering in Revelation chapter 7, verse 4 and 8, how come Ephraim isn't mentioned? That's a good question. Let's go to that. Let's go to the book of Revelations, chapter 7, verses 4 through 8. This is the book of Revelations, chapter 7 and verse 4, and it reads, And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. Of the tribe of Judah were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Reuben were 12,000. Of the tribe of Gad were 12,000. Of the tribe of Asher, 12,000. Of the tribe of Naphtali was 12,000. Of the tribe of Manasseh was 12,000. Of the tribe of Simeon were 12,000. Of the tribe of Levi were 12,000. Of the tribe of Zebulun, of the tribe of Joseph, of the tribe of Benjamin. So that is a good question, sis. You know, who knows why they're not literally on there? They're not, but they are. Because remember, Joseph was given two portions. So let's get that. Let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter. Let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter. Let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 48. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 48, and verse 1, and it reads, And it came to pass after these things that one told Joseph, Behold, thy father is sick. And he took him with him his two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. Hold on. Shalom. Doing just fine, sis. Shalom, sis. Uh-huh. Well, remember, I'm doing class right now. You could just get on the chat. He don't want to, he can ask the questions on the class. Yeah. Battle Axe is YouTube, sis. All right. All right. Shalom, sis. Um, so yeah, this is the book of Genesis, chapter 48 and verse 1, because Ephraim and Manasseh got a part with Joseph. This is what Jacob, their father, was giving them. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 48, verse 1. And it came to pass after these things that one told Joseph, behold, thy father is sick. And he took with him his two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And one told Jacob and said, behold, thy son Joseph cometh unto thee. And Israel strengthened himself and sat upon the bed. Because remember, Joseph was taken into captivity. He was sold into slavery by his brothers, because they was plotting, they was jealous, they was coveted of him. So he went and dwelt in Egypt for a time. And Jacob didn't see him for a very long time. So when he came back to him, when he was raised up second in Egypt, he noticed that he had two sons and he's giving blessings to them. Verse 3. And Jacob said unto Joseph, God Almighty appeared unto me at Luz in the land of Canaan and blessed me. And he said unto me, behold, I will make thee fruitful and multiply thee, and I will make thee a multitude of people, and I will give this land to thy seed after them for an everlasting possession. Verse 5. And now thy two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, which were born unto thee in the land of Egypt before I came unto thee in Egypt, are mine. As Reuben and Simeon shall they be mine. So this is showing you where Joseph, guess what, enabled that blessing unto them as well through the Most High. Verse 6. And thy issue which thou begettest after them shall be mine, and shall be called after the name of their brethren in their inheritance. And as for me, when I came from Padan, Rachel died by me in the land of Canaan in the way, when yet there was but a little time to come unto Ephrata. And I buried her there in the way of Ephrata. The same is Bethlehem. Verse 8. And Israel beheld Joseph's sons and said, who are these? So now he's talking to his grandsons, and he's about to give them an inheritance with the other 12 tribes of Israel, with the other sons of Israel, for lack of better words. Let me jump down and get to the point. Verse 12. And Joseph brought them from between his knees and bowed himself with his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim in his right hand towards Israel's left hand, and Manasseh in his left hand towards Israel's right hand, and brought them near unto him. And Israel stretched out his hand and laid it upon Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand upon Manasseh's head, guiding his hand wittily, for Manasseh was the firstborn. And he blessed Joseph and said, God, before whom my fathers Abraham, Isaac did walk, the God which fed me all my life long unto this day, the angel which redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads, and let my name be named on them. So we see what, guess what? Joseph imparted that blessing unto Ephraim and Manasseh. Let's get another precept. Let's go to the book of Ezekiel, chapter 47. So we see he imparted that blessing unto them. So that's why you see Manasseh is lumped in. Ephraim is lumped in with Manasseh. Well, Manasseh is Salaki. Ephraim is parts of Joseph. He's lumped in with Joseph, for lack of better words. Salaki. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 47 and verse 13, and it reads, thus saith the Lord God, this shall be the border whereby ye shall inherit the land according to the 12 tribes of Israel. Joseph shall have two portions. So what is those two portions that Joseph had? Ephraim and Manasseh. So Manasseh had his, but Ephraim was a part of Joseph's possessions. That's why you don't see him named specifically in there, because he was a part of that possession with Joseph. Yes, so sister is asking, so would they be counted and go into the kingdom gate for Joseph in the kingdom? Yes. Sis. Shalom, Brother Abraham. Go ahead. Make sure y'all write those precepts down. Genesis chapter 48 and the book of Ezekiel chapter 47. For Ephraim and Manasseh. Genesis chapter 48 and Ezekiel chapter 47 and verse 13. What's up, bro? In class? Doing class right quick. All right. Yeah, Ezekiel chapter 47 and verse 13. So yes, they got a portion with that. It says it's Daniel chapter 2 verse 34, a correlation to 2nd Ezra chapter 13 verse 9. Let's get that right quick. Remember, the book of Daniel chapter 2 is going into the image and how the Most High God is giving him the interpretation of these things. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 2 and verse number 34, and it reads, Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out with hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay, and brake them to pieces. So we see in this particular instance is going into how that image of that statue was going to be smote. Who is that stone? That stone is Christ. That stone is Christ. But let me read this. You said 2nd Ezra chapter 13 and verse 9. This is the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 13 and verse number 9. So when you read the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 13, it's showing how when Christ comes back, the nations are going to be at war with each other, but they're going to see Christ as a bigger threat and turn all their focus towards him. This is Christ battling with the other nations. Verse 9, and lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. Yeah, no, this is not a correlation to that. Because what will be the correlation? You ask Bruce, what would be the correlation? Now, if you make that point, you could correlate it. Says, well, I just gave exact precept, but the context is what I'm referring to. Says, I know they both contextually goes into the fall of the heathen. Con. So, I mean, to a degree, yeah, you could precept that together. You could correlate it together. Do brothers and sisters understand what he's saying? Because the context is just the fall of the heathen. You know, how Christ is coming back to destroy the heathen. So, yes, you could correlate that with that. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, again from the top. And behold, lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. But only I saw that he had sent out of his mouth, that it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests, and they all were mixed together. Salaki, and they were all mixed together. The blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude, which was prepared to fight, and burned them up everyone, so that upon a certain of an innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. So yeah, you could correlate that with that. Because it's just basically going into how Christ is coming back to destroy the nations and the powers that be. Let's go back to Daniel chapter 2, verse 34. This is the book of Daniel chapter 2, verse 34. Thou sawest till a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon the feet that were of iron and clay, and break them to pieces. So let's pull this up. Let's get some visuals on this thing. Let's see if we can get some imagery on this thing, man. Yeah, the favorite one, the classic. So yeah. So this is the classic right here. Classic, the classic image. This is what this is going into. Nebuchadnezzar had a vision of his statue being built, and the Most High God was giving the interpretation to Daniel. We know that the head of gold symbolizes Nebuchadnezzar or the Babylonian kingdom. We know the torso or the chest of silver represents what? The next kingdom that came up to rule after the Babylonians, which were the Persian and the Medes. Then you have the next kingdom to rule, which was the Greeks, which skirt was of brass. Then you have the legs of iron, which symbolizes who? Rome. Then we know out of Rome comes what? America, or the 10 common markets, which represents the toes. And then out of that comes America. We see Christ coming to smote this image. This is a visual of what he's seen. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 2, verse 34. Thou sawest till a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet, that were of iron, and break them to pieces. Who is this stone? Christ is that stone. Let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 23. So yes, Christ is coming back to destroy the nations that are in power. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter Salaki 28 and 16. Christ is that stone. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 28, verse 16, and it reads, Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I lay in Zion for a foundation, a stone, a tried stone, a precious cornerstone, a sure foundation. He that believeth shall not make haste. So Christ is that stone. He's that tried stone. He's also that stone that the scribes and the Pharisees did not believe when you read in the book of First Peter. No, those are all precepts signifying that Christ is that stone that's coming back to break the powers that be. I mean, you can precept those together, brothers and sisters can, because it's saying the same thing. Remember, the context is just going into how Christ is going to destroy the nations. Remember, that was just being told in that specific time of Daniel. And then you have what Ezra was telling it in his time. So remember, Ezra was in the Persian and Medes. Daniel's prophecy came before. But it's going into the same thing. Using different words, but conveying, showing the same meaning. It says, okay, also in Daniel, when it said that a great mountain, if you read on down, it goes into that second Ezra chapter 13 into another peaceable multitude. You said in what now? You got to make it more plain than that. You saying what now? In Daniel's, when you read on down in the book of Daniel, that mountain, are you asking, is that how far down? Yeah, you have to show me. Yeah, you have to show me what point that you're talking about. Sister said, why wasn't the tribe of Dan mentioned in Revelation chapter 7? That's a good question, sis. Remember, Most High God judged them because of a wickedness that they did, sis. Let's go to the book of Amos, chapter 8, and verse, 14. This is the book of Amos, chapter 8 and verse 14, and it reads, They that swear by the sin of Samaria, the sin of Samaria, be good. They that swear by the sin of Samaria. The sin of Samaria was idolatry. And say, thy God, O Dan, liveth. And the manner of Bathsheba liveth. Even they shall fall and never rise again. Meaning the tribe of Dan failed. And the Most High God said that they would never rise as a tribe of Israel again. Now, are the tribe of Dan extinct? No. We teach that they are just dispersed amongst the other 12 tribes. But to have their own tribe, that's why you don't see them in the book of Revelations, because the Most High God was putting judgment on Dan for the wickedness that they committed in the book of Judges. Judges chapter 5, verse 17. To be exact. Let's get there right quick. Go to the book of Judges chapter 5, verse 17. So Dan was being wicked. They took people's land and they also set up idols. It's the book of Judges chapter 5 and verse, and they also didn't help their brothers. This is the book of Judges chapter 5 verse 17, and it reads, Gilead abode beyond Jordan. And why did Dan remain in ships? Asher continued on the seashore and abode in his breaches. So remember, it was our job to help each one of our brethren go up and take their land from the other nations. Dan stayed on the ships. They didn't help their brothers. Also, when you read on in the end of Judges, when you read the book of Judges chapter 18, that goes into that history as well on the wickedness of Dan. So the Most High God judged Dan on that particular issue. You understand that, sister? Come. Laws are not grievous. Humble down, brother. It never said line upon line, correlated. Matthews 21:42. What is that a precept for? Kansas City in the house. Shalom, shalom. Larry Madison. How you doing, How you doing, brother? It says Daniel 2:35. That great multitude is that peaceable multitude. Oh, and Daniel. That's what you asked. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 2 and verse 35. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broke into pieces and became like the chaff in the summer threshing floors. And the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain and filled the earth. Meaning what? It was a great government. That's all that is making reference from. Meaning when Christ comes to destroy the nations and the powers that be, he's going to set up Israelites, his government on the planet Earth. Mountains means government. So it wasn't a multitude. Did you mean mountains up? Because in Daniel chapter 2, verse 35, you don't see multitude, you just see mountains. But that mountain is Israel, meaning the government of Israel. That's all that there's going into. Remember that peaceable multitude in the book of 2nd Ezra, when you jump over into 2nd Ezra chapter 13, verse 39, it tells you who that peaceable multitude was the 10 tribes. And the brother Yaakov said, yeah, some brothers do have that Dan type spirit when you read in the book of Genesis. Dan was a adder, meaning a snake in the way that bited the heels and caused brothers to fall backwards. That's that spirit that Dan has on him. Yeah, come. Matthew chapter 21, verse 42 is another precept for the stone. Come. Shalom, brother Nehemiah. How you doing? It says Khan, mountain Salakia. That's why I asked, was it referring to the peaceable multitude? Yeah, it is. Because remember, that mountain is just the government of Israel. So that peaceable multitude are just the 10 tribes. So yeah, they're a part of Israel. Yeah. Yeah, that's all Israel. Remember, mountains in the scriptures just means governments. Christ is coming to set up his government on the planet Earth. You're going to have the Most High, Christ, the 12 disciples, the 144,000, the other elect of the Israelites, and the other nations below us. That is the hierarchy in the scriptures. Let's go to the book of Matthew chapter 19. That is the hierarchy. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 19 and verse 27, and it reads, Then answered Peter and said unto him, Behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have therefore? And Yahweh shall said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. So Christ is giving the disciples rank and order. The 144,000 is going to have rank and order. That's going to be Christ's mountain, or for lack of better words, his government on the planet Earth. No, I totally understand what you was getting at. You just had to word it right. I know sometimes we be typing fast, and I totally understand. Yes, that mountain is going into the same thing. Let's get there right quick. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 13 and verse 39, and it reads, And whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him, these are the 10 tribes, which were carried away prisoner out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, when Salmanassar the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. So yeah, that mountain encompasses all of Israel. Brother Nehemiah said, I will give you a call sometime this week. Can't talk right now. Oh yeah, most definitely. Call anytime. Most definitely. But yeah, that goes into the same thing. I know me and Brother Joseph, Battle Axes West Coast up in Phoenix. I had a good question about that too. I know a brother was thinking about something else, and then we kind of did a little quick breakdown. Shalom, the remnant. Shalom. All praise to the Most High, man. But this is always a good read. I ain't gonna lie. 2nd Ezra chapter 13 one of my favorite chapters to read, man. You know, one of my favorite chapters. I don't know if you was talking about verse 12, but all of those are just going into Israelites. This is the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 13 and verse 12, and it reads, Afterward, I saw the same man come down from the mountain and call unto him another peaceable multitude. And there came much people unto him, whereof some were glad, some were sorry, some were of them were bound, and others some brought of them that were offended, were offered, Salaki. Then I was sick through great fear, and I awaked and said. So I'm gonna tell y'all, verse 13 is heavy. That thing is heavy. Brother Larry, you the brother with Sister Antoinette, you had some questions on her, Brother Larry. I could click you in so you can ask them real quick. Salaki. Verse 13 is real heavy. It says, And there came much people unto him, whereof some were glad, some were sorry, some were bound, and others some brought of them that were offered. Then was I sick through great fear, and I awake, because you're going to have some Israelites that'll be able to make it through these things. You have some that were glad, ones that kept the commandments. Some were sorry because they know they didn't keep the commandments. Some were bound, like it says in the book of Luke, chapter 9. Those mine enemies, bring them forth and slay them before me. Or like it says with the wedding, bidding to the marriage, Bind him hand and foot. This is some heavy, heavy stuff. Bind him hand and foot, because he came into the wedding without a wedding garment on. Some heavy stuff, man. Shalom, Jack. This is Joe from the Netherlands. Shalom, shalom. It says, King Ephraim, how can I leave the Edomite woman? I lost my job and bills are insane. I need help. Please pray for me. Khan, I'm going to tell you, like in the scriptures, I'm going to try to get things in order, because I'm going to tell you, man, that's never easy, you know, but I mean, hey, we have to get things in order according to thus saith the Lord. So I'm going to read you what Nehemiah said. Nehemiah was strict on these things, man, because when they were allowed to come back to build the temple, he was getting on them about doing what? Putting those heathen wives away, man. No, you're all right, Doc. You're all right. We have to put those heathen wives away, man. There's no way around that. This is the book of Nehemiah, chapter 13 and verse 23. And it reads, in those days saw I Jews that had married wives of Ashdod and of Ammon and of Moab. And their children spake half in the speech of Ashdod and could not speak in the Jews' language, but according to the language of each people. And I contended with them and cursed them and smote certain of them and plucked off their hair and made them swear by God, saying, ye should not give your daughters unto their sons, nor take their daughters unto your sons. As for yourselves, did not Solomon, king of Israel, sin by these things? Yet among many nations were there no kings like him, who was beloved of his God, and God made him king over all Israel. Nevertheless, even him did outlandish women cause to sin. So even coming back into this truth, just like how they did, rebuilding the nation, putting the 12 tribes back together again, guess what? We have to put away those heathen wives. Even like Soldier Call put up in the chat, 1 Kings chapter 11, another great precept. So we got to do thus saith the Lord. There's no way around that, man. You know, there's no way around that. That's what we got to pray for. We pray that the Most High God strengthen his hands, man. You know, Soldier Call on it. Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 3. Plain upon tables, the classic precept. This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not take unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. For they will turn away thy sons from following me, that they may serve other gods. And so will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. So, you know, we throw up some prayers for you, but you need to be trying to get those things in order. You say to separate yourselves from the heathen women, you know. Get things in order. If y'all have children, you know, y'all, that's one of the main things, like we say, we throw up the prayers for you, because they Israelites, you know what I'm saying? So, and I know y'all still to some degree still have to co-parent. So you want to make sure that you have a plan of action, brother. You know what I'm saying? Have a plan of action. Where you located at, King Ephraim? Shalom, Moni Sim, Shalom. I have a question. Can you explain the 1,000 years when Satan is loose? So a lot of times they think that time has already happened. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 20 and verse number 1. And it reads, and I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. So when you go into the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 5, a pit is referred to as a landmass. So this angel bound this particular person for a particular time. This is the history that's being gone over in the book of Revelation chapter 20, verse 2. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. So a lot of times Christians that don't have any understanding, they think that this is literal. The Most High God never has to bound Satan. Satan goes and comes as he pleases. He's an employee of the Most High. So remember, Satan can be a term in certain contexts. Who is this talking about? This is talking about the Caucasian race, because they were called Satan and the devil. Satan just means what? Adversary, meaning whatever the Most High God says, they do the total opposite. Devil means what? A deceiver. All they do is deceive the people into thinking that they are God's chosen people, when in reality they're not. So this is talking about a particular people in a particular time. I'm going to read it again. And laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. Meaning what? During the time of the Roman Empire, and a lot of times brothers and sisters have to understand this history. How did the Roman Empire fall? The Roman Empire fell by an Israelite man by the name of Septimius Severus. He was a black man that took down the Roman Empire. Trying to get more of a more accurate picture. So this is our brother that took down the Roman Empire. Now don't get it twisted. He wasn't necessarily for his people, Israel. You know, that's some history that brothers have to dig deep into. But he did, being a black man, take down the Roman Empire. When he destroyed or took down the Roman Empire in 193 AD, guess what? The white man, guess what? We pushed them to the Caucasus Mountains of Georgia, Russia for about 1,000 years. So this is that person that was bound, or that particular race that was bound for that 1,000 years. Who knows when the so-called white man came back into power? He came back into power in 1453. So that's roughly about 1,000 or so years that, guess what, that they was not ruling the world. This is what Revelation chapter 20 is going into. I'm going to read it again. The book of Revelation chapter 20 and verse 2. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit. What is the bottomless pit? Meaning into Europe. Because why is it called the bottomless pit? Because Europe really has no natural resources. That's why we constantly see Edomite empires fighting and trying to divide up Africa for their resources. We even have it now with Boko Haram, Sam Salakia, if I'm butchering Ox's name. But even with Macron, the president of France, trying to, guess what, still impede on their gold. We even have Trump trying to take the gold and oil that Africa has. You know, won't y'all just stay in your own land, man? They can't, because it's no natural resources that are profitable for Esau in America, I mean, in Europe. So that's why it's called the bottomless pit. Verse 3 again. And he cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon him, that he should no more deceive the nations no more. Salakia, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season. So in 1453, which is the Renaissance era, the Renaissance era is going into what? The rebirth of the white man back in power on the earth. So it tells you the Renaissance was a period in European history, roughly from the 14th to the 17th century, that marked a significant cultural and intellectual rebirth following the Middle Ages. So yeah, we see that this is a time in history where they came back into power, meaning the Most High God had that angel bound them. And a lot of times we have to understand that's spiritual. That's on a spiritual level. So he came back into power. He started to do what? Take over the nations and didn't do what? Put us in slavery. He started to rule the planet Earth again. This is like the golden ages for the so-called white man. This is what this is going into, sis. Yes, that was the Western Roman Empire. Come. Did you understand that, Moni Sims? Brother Yaakov, 2 Ezra chapter 6, verse 56. As for the other people which also come of Adam, they have said that they are nothing but be like unto spittle, and is like in the abundance unto them that falleth from a vessel. Yeah, Con, I'm gonna tell you, Brother King Ephraim, you have to do whatever you have to be able to stay in the spirit and to gather amongst like-minded people. Sometimes you may have to be as a pilgrim and get up and move to a different location. We have many brothers that have done that. Soji Hood, he moved from Florida to come down here to be with us. And I've been doing great works. So you have to do what you have to do. Says First Maccabees chapter 9, verse 27. That prophet that was not seen among them, was that Joshua to Samuel? Let's get that real quick. First Maccabees chapter 9, verse 27. This is the book of First Maccabees chapter 9. No, this is going into Demetrius, how our people was in the Greek captivity battling them. Let me see. The book of First Maccabees chapter 9. I'm going to start up at verse 26. And they made inquiry and searched for Judah's friends and brought them into Bacchasides, who took vengeance of them and used them despitefully. Bacchasides was a wicked person that hated Israel. Verse 27. So was there a great affliction in Israel, like the whereof have not since the time that a prophet was not seen among them. Also, you asking who is that prophet? Since a prophet was not seen. Oh, you asking was that from Joshua to Samuel? I have to look back over that. I'll come up some. Yeah, I have to look back over that. Con, that's a good book to have, but the thing is, you got to get the right Russian icons. The right Russian icons is a very expensive book. Yeah, Con, 193 AD to 1453. Black Karma disagree. They are not Israelites. Was Ishmael called an Israelite, or did he become a different nation? Yes. Ishmael is not an Israelite. Ishmael was the father of the Arab nation today. He's not an Israelite. Remember, that's why he was cast off. Ishmael was cast off. It was the book of Genesis, chapter 17. Ishmael was cast off. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 16, and chapter 17 and verse 20. And as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and I will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget. That's why they call themselves kings and princes over there in Saudi Arabia. This is where they originate from Ishmael. He should, and I will make him a great nation. Verse 21. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac. So Ishmael is not a Israelite. He's Hebrew. So Hebrew is Ishmaelite, but he's not an Israelite. Remember, during the time of Genesis, the Most High God was still creating nations. He created Esau, he created Ishmael, he created Israelites. Those were new nations that he was creating. Deuteronomy 23 and verse 2. No one born of a forbidden union may enter into the assembly of the Lord. That's right. Come. They can't enter into that thing. 2 Ezra chapter 8, verse 21, whose throne is inestimable, whose glory may not be comprehended, but for whom the host of angels stand with trembling. It says that's when the Constantine started, when the Renaissance came. No, Constantine came in 325 AD. So that was a few years after the fall of Rome. So this is where Brews have to get up on timelines. Remember, BC ticks down, AD ticks up. So we know Christ died in 33 AD. So many years after that, eventually we come into the fall of the Roman Empire. He died approximately 100 years after. So 100 years after that, after Christ's death, eventually the Roman Empire fell. Then a few years after that, you do the math on there, and you got three brothers and sisters that are good at math. You have 325 minus what? 193. So that will be what? After the fall of the Roman Empire, then it was instituted in with Septimius Severus. Remember, he still controls some aspect of Rome. It wasn't Caucasians ruling in that particular area anymore. So after they fell in 193 AD, then 132 years later, that's when you have Constantine them, like with the Council of Nicaea. It says on down to 28, I got precepts with Revelations chapter 20. Come. King Ephraim, I heard that Jews, so-called Moors, ruled Russia over 1,000 years. That's right. That's what that's referring to in the book of Revelations chapter 20. That is the history that it's going into. Remember, Moors was a multitude of nations. So you had Africans, Arabs, and Israelites. They were all considered Moors at some point in time. Meaning when we left keeping God's commandments, that's when we went into Europe and started to domesticate and teach Esau how to build, how to domesticate the animals, how to wash, how to bathe. That's why they call that the Dark Ages, because it was dark people ruling during those ages. That's history that Esau would never put you on game on. They never do that. Black Karma, Obadiah 1 and 18, the house of Esau for stubble. That's right. And they shall kindle in them and devour them. And there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord had spoken it. Kanak, we tried, man. We want brothers to be doing great work too, man. The work is plenteous, but the laborers are few. That's why we need brothers and sisters to, guess what? Come amongst the body, man, and help us put in this work. Black Karma said, please explain where in the scriptures that the grandchildren who carries the blood of Esau will be spared in the day of the Lord. Exile is exile. That's right. And you just pulled it. Obadiah chapter 1, verse 18. They not getting spared. You know. Yeah, not all of them was Israel. Yeah. So you had a mixture of Africans and Arabs and Israelites during that time. So no. It says, oh, because I know I've been doing research and I know Renaissance means to remake, and I know doing Constantine is kind of going into that. No, yeah. Yeah, Constantine was just setting up. At that time, Constantine was an extension of Rome. It was a part of it, but that's not the Renaissance that it's talking about. The Renaissance is specifically going into the 1400s. So this was hundreds of years after Constantine. Sister, I'm thinking about moving that way myself. I want to congregate. I want to do that for my church. Come on, sis. You know, you're more than welcome. Like we say, try to get your affairs in order. Find you a job down here. Find you a place to stay. Because that's how we gave counsel to Ehud, and they had a good move. You know, you have brothers and sisters that'll help you move in like it ain't nothing, you know, and try to help you get as situated as possible. So come. Shalom, Brother Jonah. How you doing, Doc? So yeah, you know, brothers and sisters have to do what they have to do to build and strengthen their spirit in these last days, man. You know, and if that take you being a pilgrim in the earth, hey, you have to do that. Let's go to the book of Second Ezra. You have to even be as pilgrims in the earth. You have to do that, man. This is the book of Second Ezra, chapter 16, and verse number 40. Verse 39. Even so, shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. O my people, hear my words. Make ye ready to the battle, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth. So a lot of times you seeing things, you know, certain spirits in certain particular areas, man. Sometimes you may have to pack up and move and come down here and gather amongst brothers and congregate, man. You know, so we can hold each other accountable, so you can have help in those days, places to go, you know, because that's what these things is all about, man. Gathering ourselves together so that we can become stronger as a nation of people, man. You know, so yeah, you very well may have to do that, sis. You know, say just make sure that you do things decency and in order. Come. Yes, Constantine is when Christianity came about. Come. And then when Esau fully came into power, because it's not, a lot of times people think that Constantine was a white man, but Constantine was a black man. Remember, just because we had our people doing this, we think that every Israelite was righteous. So you had instances like Septimius Severus. He wasn't necessarily for his people. He was for the Roman Empire, or setting it up how they had it set up, for lack of better words. Just like with Constantine, you know, they were setting up these things because they didn't like how the Most High God had certain things set up. Just like people in today's time, you have Israelites that love President Trump, you know, that are for America first. It's the same thing that was back during those times. You know, that's right. Yahquab hit it right on the head. Jason doing the Maccabees. You know what I'm saying? So that's another great point, man. Jason was wicked as hell. You had alchemists. You had always had people that hated their own people. I'm talking about always. So yeah, you have always had our own people to hate one another. Always, man. And that's a sad thing, man. It's a very sad thing, man. You got people, a lot of times it is because they don't know who they are. But I'm gonna tell you, more and more people are understanding who they are, and they still don't care. And that's because Christ said that we was going to be hated of all people. You know, so that kind of comes with the territory. Who know what I want? One in First Maccabees hated their own people. This is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So we see that, we have always had wicked people, people that hated their own people, man. Always. And it's nothing new. So yeah, Constantine instituted Christianity. Remember, they was the one that kind of instituted changing Saturday Sabbath from Sunday Sabbath worship. In the Council of Nicaea. Shalom, Soldier Donovan in the building. So yeah, we had the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. It says the first Council of Nicaea convened in 325 AD by Roman Emperor Constantine was the first ecumenical council of the Christian church. It addressed the Arian controversy as theological dispute regarding the nature of Christ. They the ones that kind of instituted him being what? Of an angel and all these different type of crap. Chains Saturday to Sunday. The council ultimately condemned Arianism, defined Christ as one substance with the Father, and established the Nicene Creed, a statement of Christian belief. So like a lot of times, brothers and sisters have to be up on this history, man. And especially when it comes to timelines, understanding BC and AD. Because a lot of times, if you don't understand historical or chronological timelines, you can be lost in the sauce. Remember, BC means what? Before Christ, meaning things that happened before Christ was born on the scene. Then AD is going into what? Anno Domini, meaning in the year of our Lord. Things that happened at his birth and up until his death and even afterwards. That's some heavy, heavy stuff that brothers and sisters need to be up on. Heavy, heavy stuff. Y'all know how we do it at the 2-hour mark. Got some questions real quick. Question number 1. Who provoked David to number Israel? This should be fairly easy. Who provoked David to number Israel? Brothers and sisters should know this. Need the name, book, chapter, and verse. Y'all quiet. You know Messiah is a bad, bad man. That's right. You ain't lying, Knock. And that's something that we have to always stress, man. For people that don't believe Christ. How is it not a such thing as Christ, but people, even the so-called white man, have made a timeline out of this man's history, out of his life, death, and burial. I mean, come on, man. Time revolves around Christ. Birth. Brother Don Israel on point. Soldier Don Salaki. Satan. 1 Chronicles chapter 21, verse 1. Tell y'all, I say, you got them heavy hitters up in this thing, man. Y'all got to come on with it with Soldier Donovan up in this thing. I need something hard. Let's see. Okay, this is a good one. What land did Lot choose to dwell in after he and Abraham split? I say he missed the whole class. He got to do something. We still on this thing. Trying to catch up with the brother. That's Sister Antoinette. I don't know if brother wants to come up here. I know she said he had some questions. Salakia. What land did Lot choose to dwell in after he and Abraham split? So I'm giving y'all a reference. Bruce got to be up on that thing. Brother Larry, did you want to come up in here and ask your questions? Con. Brother Dunn on that thing, man. Genesis chapter 13, verse 10. Verse 11, Con Yahquah. Then Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves the one from the other. The plain of Jordan. Now what? Yeah, Con Zoar. Plain of Jordan. This is a good one right quick. And brothers and sisters should know this. Captain Yara just kind of touched on this yesterday. How long did Joachim rule in Jerusalem before Jerusalem was besieged from him? Sister Adiva on point, Genesis chapter 13, verse 11. How long did Jehoiachin rule in Jerusalem before Jerusalem was besieged from him? That's a good one. Brothers and sisters, if y'all was taking notes, y'all should have known that. Because it literally just went through the history of Jehoahaz, Jehoiachin, and Jehoiakim. We literally just went through all that history. Jehoahaz. Y'all excuse me, man. A little bit of now trying to feed me nuggets that my wife done cooked. He wrong for that, man. Done threw me off. Second Chronicles chapter 36, verse 9. Jehoiachin was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 months and 10 days in Jerusalem. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. Sister Adiba said, shit, Salakia. Sister Adiba said, Soldier Jonathan, you ain't gonna keep me out of that thing, man. She right there behind him. You're talking about sneaking a sneaky snack. Soldier Ezra. Soldier Ezra talking about the notification didn't come out. Well, you already know what time I'm doing class. What was your antennas, brother? I need to get a hard one for y'all, especially for this for Soldier Donovan and Sister Adiva. Let me see, man. I need something hard. Because I'll be when I'm on TikTok, it's this Elam. And he be doing the Q&A. Boy, I was turning their butts up in that thing, man. He had some good questions too. Dang, it was this one. What was the name of the city? Dang, I can't get that. That might be I know that's a hard one. I'm gonna read them. Yeah, that's a that's a pretty hard one. In the New Testament, remember, no Googling, damn it. Y'all bet not Google these things. It's giving y'all clues in the sentence. Let me see. In the New Testament, what is the name of the tempestuous wind? That's a good one, too. In the New Testament, what is the name of the tempestuous wind? We put in a soldier down talking about what is the weight of fire. Only Uriel know at this time. What is the name of the tempestuous wind? in the New Testament. Yeah, that's a pretty hard one right there. Yeah, Black Karma, you behind. You got to catch back up. Yeah, that's a pretty hard one right there. What was the name of the tumultuous wind in the New Testament? Where y'all at? Where you at, Soldier Donovan? Where you at, Sister Adiva? Where y'all at? Ezra, where you at? Where you at, Yaakov? Yaquab? Where you bruise at? Barakaya, Officer Barakaya, where y'all at, man? Brothers and sisters trying to get something to eat like me. What was the name of the tempestuous wind in the New Testament? Come, Brother Moses. Oh, Barakaya driving. Come, I'm gonna say I know my brother Moses ain't in this thing. Come, Acts chapter 27, verse 14. Euclidon, Salakia. Black Karma, you way behind. Sister Adiba said, shoot, Cap, I'm right up in this thing. She wasn't too far behind. She third place. Soldier Donovan got second place. Brother Yaakov trying to blame Sister Hannah. It was that woman you gave me. Shalom, Mama Mariah in the building. Shalom. Oh, this is a good one right here. What should someone do taking the Nazarite vow do with their hair after they shave it off? Come. What's the scriptures for which one? All of them, sis? They was putting them in the chat. You talking about grow it back? No, nigga. That damn Abraham. That damn. What should someone taking the Nazarite vow do with their hair after they shave it off? What should they do with it? What y'all laughing at? Yeah, that one is. Yeah, that's wrong. Verse. Said, give it to the. Be more specific. What precept is it? Soldier Donovan got that mud. Numbers chapter 6, verse 18. And the Nazarite shall shave the head of his separation at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and shall take the hair of the head of his separation and put it in the fire which is under the sacrifice of the peace offerings. So he will put it in the fire which is under the sacrifice of the peace offerings. 6 and 18. Numbers chapter 6, verse 18. I know y'all was saying verse 5. I'm going to read that. All the days of the vow of his separation, there shall no razor come upon his head until the days be fulfilled, in which he separated himself unto the Lord. He shall be holy, and he shall let the locks of his head grow. But it's verse 18. Come, Brother Shalom, he said it, but he needs them precepts, man. So yeah, what did he do? He gave it as a sacrifice. He gave it as a sacrifice. That's what he did with it. He gave it as a sacrifice, man. So it says the scripture, speaking of remembering scriptures, maybe Second Ezra. Oh, okay, come, sis. Yeah, we always got to remember that. Second Ezra chapter 14 and verse 40. Yeah. On how you build up con. So Donovan, that boy, I'm telling you, he ain't playing no games. Even before I said he was had that thing typed in. The book of Second Ezra chapter 14 and verse 40, and it reads, and I took it and drank. And when I had drunk of it, my heart uttered understanding, and wisdom grew in my breast, for my spirit strengthened my memory. So the stronger your spirit is, and how do you strengthen your spirit? By applying, reading, fasting, praying. That's how you strengthen your spirit. Once your spirit is strengthened, that's what strengthens your memory. It says, Captain, is this why our grandmother burned their hair, not having the understanding? What you mean? Who do? Oh, for real? I never heard that before. And my wife was just saying that, sis, yeah, that probably is. Having a form of that understanding, I never knew that. I never knew that. I think I'm getting old, because even time I kind of talk about it, kind of think about certain things. So, but yeah. Well, remember, not in that sense, because a lot of times, even Mama Ra says, yeah, probably they knew a little something. Now, if they doing it specifically for that, but remember, the Most High God always kept a small remnant with the understand, somewhat of the understanding. So, con on that. You just had to say it, didn't you, Sister Hannah? No, I probably was playing basketball for real, sis. Oh, you took a bathroom break out? You should took your phone in there with you then. Yeah, con. Now they do that. Yeah, I totally understand that. Remember, certain things are done on the left-hand side and certain things are done on the right-hand side. So a lot of times, I'm pretty sure that's probably where they came from, but they turned it into wickedness, like a lot of times of our people do, like it says in the scriptures, like how things that are righteous are turned to evil. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 39 and verse 25, and it reads, For the good are good things created from the beginning, so evil things for sinners. So we see, like, when the Most High God made things good, the righteous gonna keep it for the good, but the wicked and the evil gonna turn those good things into evil. Sis said she knows someone that does that in Chicago. Con. It says, but my folks back in the day used to burn their hair instead of throwing it away. Con, etc. Yeah, con. Yeah, that's what my wife was just saying. I never heard of that. So say I would burn mine because I did not want to throw it away, being superstitious. Yeah. Con. And I'm pretty sure that's probably where they got it from, but they done kind of took it outside of what the scriptures told you to do. Yeah, we shouldn't take it and, be superstitious with it. We shouldn't do that. Right now, we shouldn't be doing it at all because we have no temple to sacrifice, I ain't gonna lie, Soldier Call, when Sister Hannah said that, that's what I was thinking about, them getting burned with a hot comb. That's all I was thinking about. Until they just broke it down, so.
I thought that's what they said. Some birds give you a headache. If you do your hair outside and the birds ate it, it'll give you a headache.
For real?
That's what my grandma used to say.
Oh, yeah, that is superstitious right there. Yeah, witchcraft and curses, yeah. Look at the damn brother Shalom, long as they ain't burning draws. They gonna bind your soul to them, man. Y'all bruised, better make sure them sisters ain't getting y'all draws and burning them. Yeah, brothers from Battle Axes, man. Y'all something else, man. Yeah, Khan. It says another question says, after the 40 years in the wilderness, where did the children of Israel keep Passover? The land name. Where did the children of Israel keep Passover after the 40 years in the wilderness? Last question before any other brothers and sisters we get up out of here. And if y'all don't have any other questions, we're at that 2-hour mark. Forgot to put a controversial timeline to kind of get the Christians up in here. No, Dub probably had his butt kicked enough. He wasn't coming back. After the 40 years in the wilderness, where did the children of Israel keep Passover? Come, brother Moses, on that thing, man. I own it. Joshua chapter 5, verse 6 through 10. Come, I hope brothers and sisters are preparing for tabernacles, trying to get things in order as much as possible. It's at the end of October last week, in the middle of October, Salakia. Let me I thought it was at the Con, brothers and sisters putting that thing up in the chat. Let me see. It's cut out. I can't see it. Let me see mine. Gilgal, Con, Joshua chapter 5. Make sure, brothers and sisters, if y'all don't know these things, kind of go over those things. Sometimes you got to go back and look over those things. There's certain questions. I know when me and my wife doing the trivia, I don't know. We had just read over it. Kind of teach you to be specific in detail in our approach. Any other questions that brothers and sisters have before we get up out here? Any other questions? Boom, boom, boom. Okay, yeah. Feast of Tabernacles. No, it's at the. Is this? No. Oh, yes. October the 6th through October the 13th. Oh, that mug is right there. I thought it was at the end of. I don't know what my mind was. So, yes, we have the Feast of Tabernacles, October the 6th through October the 13th. I don't know where my mind was. October the 6th through October the 13th. So y'all know we got Memorial blowing the trumpets and we have the Day of Atonement. Come. I have to read more into that, Abraham. Look more into it. I have to read up a little bit. Yep, these details are vastly overlooked. I pass right by when most Christians read the Bible. That's right. You do have a point. They're not able to link up the precepts, but they know some questions, some trivia questions, man. They really do, man. They don't understand the deep things and the meat of the Bible. Yeah, mine too. Tabernacles, man. Brothers and sisters love tabernacles, man. Out there having a good time amongst each other. Around the campfire, going over precepts, going over scriptures. It's a great, great, great time, man. But if any brothers and sisters don't have any other questions, man, with that, we give all honor and praises to the Most High and to His Son, Yahushua. We always tell brothers and sisters to keep the laws of the Most High. Brothers and sisters, y'all put some laws in the chat for us to read. Put some laws in the chat. Says the earth flat. We don't care whether it's flat or spherical. We just want to rule it. We just want to rule that thing. Put some laws in the chat for us. What laws do brothers and sisters have? Sister put honor thy father and thy mother. That's a great one. What's the Bible verse, sister? What's the Bible verse? That is a great one. Leviticus chapter 4, verse 2. Brother Yaakov put Leviticus chapter 12, verse 1. Leviticus chapter 12 and verse 2, and it reads, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If a woman have conceived seed and born a man-child, then she shall be unclean 7 days. According to the days of the separation of her infirmity, shall she be unclean. So, Sister Adiva put Leviticus chapter 4, verse 2. Let's read that. The book of Leviticus chapter 4, verse 2. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If a soul shall sin, shall sin through ignorance against any of the commandments of the Lord concerning things that are not to be done, and shall do against any of them, if the priest that is anointed do sin according to the sin of the people, then let him bring for his sin, which he has sinned, a young bullock without blemish unto the Lord for a sin offering. Great precept. Leviticus 23, verse 27, another great one, man. Great precepts, brothers and sisters, putting in the chat, man. Going into what? The Day of Atonement. Brothers and sisters need to be getting prepared for as well. Says Deuteronomy 6 and 9. Great precepts that brothers and sisters putting in. With that, we give all honor and praise to the Most High, to his son Yahushua. Pray that brothers and sisters stay in the spirit. Pray that brothers and sisters keep their spirit to the streets of what's going on. Be watching in the news. Be lining and measuring up times and prophecies with the scriptures. And also lining up your spirit with thus said the Lord, man. Making sure that you're overcoming certain sins that you deal with, whether it be lust, fornication, smoking, uncleanness, not congregating. Brothers and sisters, want to make sure that you constantly are checking the spirits that you have. And with that, Kwam Yasharala. Shalom.